think so.
I made that mistake before. Just like you did 2 days ago. And now
What'd I do?
we're live. Now we're properly live. Excellent. Okay, we're live now. Everything's ready. Everything's there. The only problem is that my image is very small. And I'm still trying to fix that.
Yeah, there we go.
I made that. Okay,
There
good.
we go.
So,
I
audio
see
is
us.
good. We're good.
We're golden.
Great.
It's so weird because it's like several seconds behind over here.
Yep, that's how it goes. That's the way the wicked world is, you know?
That will distract me if I look at it that way. Distract me.
Now, my only question is, I don't want to be the small person in this screen. That's my problem.
You I was looking at the thing.
Look
You
how
are
I'm
tiny.
tiny. I'm a small man with a big voice. Let's see.
Okay,
If
well,
I-
there's like, there's three people watching. One of those three is probably my account. So
yeah.
I guess we can try and count.
Yeah.
Hello, Christy Joe, who's watching.
Christy
maybe
Joe,
from
wonderful
work.
person. I clap and salute you.
At the same time.
It's pretty difficult to do. It's just like when you have to tap your belly and then you stroke, like you tap your head and then you stroke your belly.
Oh yeah, that is hard. Yeah. Do we have a solution for your small camera-ness?
The only solution I have is just switching off the camera and switching it back on again. That is the only solution that I know that will probably most likely work. I think it's because what I did was I moved.
Hi.
Like I started like this, and then it picked it up this way, and then now it thinks we're permanently on.
Oh, I see.
on
Well,
vertical
we'll
mode.
switch it back on.
Huh? Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it right now. I think it's a Discord error, so I'm gonna have to No, it's not a Discord error. It's this stupid cam thing. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
All I can say. I'll be
Okay.
right back.
Phil will be right back. I'll talk to Christy Joe. Hi, Christy Joe. How is your day? What do you do? That is correct, Christy Joe. That is exactly what's happened. His camera is stuck in vertical.
I'm still here, but just a voice.
He's a disembodied voice.
I'm a
now.
disembodied voice. This is actually what happens every time we do a live stream. Like when I did that with Tim, we always tested it, and also when I did that audiobook fundraising thing on Kickstarter, we had like this Zoom event where people would show up and we would talk about our project and all that kind of stuff. And guess what? It wouldn't. My phone wouldn't connect to the computer, but we tested it the night before, and everything was 100% smooth. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then the day of, it's like I'm panicking. What am I gonna do? I can't get it on the computer, so I had to download Zoom onto my phone, try to get the Zoom invitation, and scramble to actually show up on the call. So.
Oh, that sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, and so this has been happening all the time with every live stream thing, and we are good now. I am horizontal. The world is now at peace, for I am a larger picture.
Finally, there we go. There we go.
So,
Christy Joe. Oh, you work in marketing. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I bet that is busy.
welcome to Pirates of the Caribbean. The story of the movie that never happened.
Thank you. God damn it, Phil.
You wanted to
Change my name. Change my name in the title. The episode.
Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry about that. My bad. Forgot about that. Totally forgot.
Early.
Early days.
So
Yeah!
Joe, if you like pirates, I can point you in the direction of a killer podcast.
Yeah, it's a pretty good podcast. It has sounds.
It is.
It has voice actors. It has fantastic writing.
Mm, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. Um, so who else? There's 4 people in the chat.
I think that's as many as
Smash
we're gonna
that
get.
like button.
Smash that like button. Don't necessarily follow this channel because I use this just for my own stuff. But if you want to, okay, that's fine. So Luke, how's it going?
Good. It's been a busy day. Chief Brody Rules is in the house. Yeah, no, it's been a good day. It's been a good busy day. I should have been working on my PhD. I have not been, and I've been writing my book.
Yeah, and it's also incredibly hot over there.
Well, today's much cooler,
Oh, that's
but
good.
it's still warm in the loft.
Well, it's hell over here.
So, yes, you still have the terrible temperatures.
We do.
We've gone down to like the mid 20s. I think we are today.
Mhm.
So
That's
okay.
that's beautiful.
okay.
That I would kill for weather like that because what we have now is 36, 37 today, and it's maddening. I'm going to be sweating profusely throughout this presentation. So
Like and sweat at the camera.
Yeah.
Splat. Splitty, splat, splat.
so anyway,
Well, how was your day?
my day was okay. You know, I was just kind of prepping for this a little bit. I made a wonderful slideshow which didn't exist until earlier today, and what you see, I think this is the. Am I pointing the right direction? I'm not pointing the right direction. I'm pointing this direction. What you see over here is going to be a ton of pictures and pages of this pitch booklet that I made way back 10 years ago, 11 years ago,
Very long time.
very long time ago, to pitch a Pirates of the Caribbean movie, because when we were younger, at least I was incredibly ambitious to the point of delusion, I'd say. But it's
Young and
but
my more vulnerable years.
yeah, but to be fair, and the more I learned about the film industry as I got older, the more I'm glad I'd never even kind of got involved into it, in a way, because it's suboptimal, as
Yes.
some people would say it. But if you get lucky, there's a few lucky people who are able to do what they want, but that's few and far between. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about this. And so I was like super duper enthusiastic about this project to do, because there's a lot of times when I was a kid where I was, I had these ambitions to make movies, and it was always these big franchise movies, and it was always like, oh yeah, I loved IMAX, going to see those IMAX documentaries on film. Those there's Amazon or there's Alaska. I remember seeing that one. And like the museums would have them, and they would be massive, and they would feel like they pull you in. And then I found out that in 2003, The Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions came out on IMAX format.
Yeah.
And I thought, that is incredible. So now I thought it was only exclusive for documentaries. But I'm like, if you can do that, we can take the IMAX format. This is 2004, by the way. We can take the IMAX format. I was 15. And we'll shoot like a 40-minute Alien movie in IMAX.
What was your favorite color?
What?
Go on, just carry on.
And I just want to put in a little background, just so you know where this whole idiocy came from. This foolhardiness to invest so much time and effort to create so many pictures and do such a storybook, and have the gall to just ship that away to certain people in the film industry in hopes that someone would say, this is great. And it's like, I was on this other podcast called Franchisography, and they were talking about all the Pirates of the Caribbean films like earlier this year. And I was on 4, because I hated 4. I think both of us, we hated On Stranger Tides.
Oh, yeah.
And well, I talked about the movie I wanted to do, and one of the co-hosts, his name is Scott Corelli. He actually works at I think he works at HBO now, and he does editing, but he's also a screenwriter, and he made a few short films as well. In his time, I think he's slightly older than you are, Luke. And he said,
Okay.
but Phil, like, you noticed, right, that once you mail that to them, they're just gonna mail it back and not see it because it's it's unsolicited material. You can't just
Well,
send
you never
ideas.
got it back.
I never got it back, and I don't know who sent it, because this was like during the days where we had to move out of the States, because this is when I was still in the States. I mean, my whole family's moving to Croatia, and I made this. I'm gonna show it. I made this big treasure chest to send to somebody, and I entrusted my uncle to do it. He might have done it. Who knows? At this point, and at this point, I don't care. So there you go. And so that's what. There's a lot of passion that went into making like stuff like this, at least for me. And the fact that Luke, I was able to bounce ideas off of him, and he got interested in it too, and we collaborated to actually develop a story that continued from Pirates of the Caribbean 3, because that was the latest movie that came out and the latest movie that kind of sealed the story together. But
Yes.
it also opened up, like, what I noticed in part 3 is that it tied all the knots together from the plot of 2 and 3, but it essentially brought the entire story back, like, on reset, because Jack doesn't have a ship anymore again. He's on a dinghy.
Yeah.
Will and Elizabeth, they're done, so we don't even include them. And Barbossa has the Black Pearl. So it's like a reset, you know?
Yes.
And, you know.
Now, I do think we should explain what got us interested in doing a Pirates 4, because we didn't know it at the time, but both of us were coming up with ideas for a Pirates 4 after the third Pirates film.
That's true.
And then when we like met and started hanging out more, we realized we were both coming up with ideas, and then we started brainstorming, which was quite fun. So for me, like, I kind of foolishly really liked Pirates 2 and 3 at first, mainly because I was caught up in Pirate Mania.
Pirate Mania was
But
huge in the mid
was-
2000s.
Yeah, I mean, it was massive. I mean, like, you had talking about Pirate Day. Facebook had like the pirate language.
Ninjas versus
like,
Pirates.
Yes, ninjas
Remember
versus
that?
Pirates. Yes, like pirates. They were everywhere.
They were in.
and they were the bee's knees. And so I got really caught up in that because I really, really liked the character of Jack Sparrow. I didn't like Will, I didn't like Elizabeth, but I liked everybody else. And, you know, I thought Davy Jones was cool, I thought Tia Dalma was cool, I thought the whole, like, pirate stuff of treasure hunting and ghosts and curses.
Yeah.
All that.
That's
It's great stuff.
That's what I loved about the first Pirates movie, because
Yes.
when Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio came onto the project, because this was a story that was developed by Disney since like the early 90s, right? And they had a couple of different screenwriters to work on that, right? And it kept getting pushed back because of stuff like Cutthroat Island being a killer when it comes to those kinds of like pirate saily movies, right? And have you seen Cutthroat Island?
I've still not seen it.
Brilliant score, wonderful score, one of my favorite scores ever. Really boring movie. I don't know, I just fall asleep every time, but there's so much stuff in it. Like, there's so many ships, there's so many actors, there's so much production value in it, but it's still, at the end of it all, it just gets boring and kind of predictable.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wanted to say that Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio, who did Aladdin, and then they also did the unfinished Godzilla in 1995. They were gonna, there was an American version of Godzilla that was always brewing around, and they did the first draft of the one that was never made. They came in, and they're the ones who put in the fantasy element, the curse thing.
Oh, interesting.
Which is funny because it was inherently in the Disney ride already, right? Like,
Yeah.
Watch out for those curses, mate.
I don't remember what he says, but
Yeah.
And I think that to me, plus, no matter what you think of current climate, what's happening, but Johnny Depp's inclusion and just being able to kind of experiment with the character that he made, that kind of really cemented that into something that was better than it could have been otherwise.
Yeah, I think so.
Because the cursed treasure and the undead pirates, that was it, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, what's fun is this stuff is built into like pirate mythology anyway. I mean,
Exactly.
as everybody knows, or maybe they don't, but like I've been working on a show called Real Pirates.
Yeah.
On Spotify, and the thing with Real Pirates is that we have been diving into the golden age of pirates, so the kind of the late 1600s through the early 1700s. From Henry Avery to Blackbeard and all those guys, and like there's one guy, what's his name, Charles Johnston or Johnson or something, Charles Johnson, who wrote the general history of pirates.
Okay.
And he's kind of like the kind of authority on pirates back in the day. But really, all of his stuff is a mixture of fact and fiction.
Ah.
You have Blackbeard, who when he's killed, his head is lopped off, but his body swims around the boat several times.
Like a chicken.
There's all these kind of mythological elements that are in in his book, which he was writing at the same time as like some of these pirates were still alive, which is quite fascinating. So I do, it was such a smart idea for Pirates of the Caribbean to play with that aspect, because it's inherent in the history of pirates anyway, this sort of mythological, larger than life, Robin Hood-esque
stuff, yeah.
Even though they're very much not like Robin Hood, they became and have become folk heroes.
Ironically.
Yes. And some were quite close to that, others were very far away from that. It's a very mixed bag, and I do think Pirates of the Caribbean kind of, in its own way, like kind of does well to juggle that. Like you have some of the ruthless pirates, but then you have people like Jack Sparrow who aren't as ruthless as you would expect.
Yeah, deep down they're not, but they definitely have some kind of danger to them anyway. Yeah. Which is what's so great about the first movie, I think. And then the second and third ones, they kind of like did more of the same, I guess. Yes. I don't know what to say, because like in retrospect now, a lot of people have look fondly towards it, and to an extent me too. Like when I see the second and third ones, at least I can I can see some kind of like a grafting picture that they're trying to do, right? Because they even put more of the legends in there, combining Davy Jones and the Kraken and all kinds of other stuff together to create even more mythological elements. And I like the tone as well. I think bringing Gore Verbinski in to do those three, at least the first one as well. Like more importantly, the first one, just gave it. There was something fun about it. It was an adventure movie, and it was really fun. It was just really fun.
Yeah,
right.
I agree. I think 2 and 1 is great. 2 and 3 are really great ideas. But as we know from documentaries. The biggest problem is that they were writing without a story, and it feels that way because it's just sort of plodding along. Things are happening that are sort of irrelevant, like the Cannibal Island. There's a lot of stuff that could easily be dropped on the cutting room floor, and that's the problem what happens when you write without a script. When you have no plan in mind, your story just becomes a plodding mess, and that really hurt Pirates 2 and 3, and ultimately is what left me dissatisfied by the end of 3, because I was like, oh wow, like there was this weird time jump between parts 2 and 3, between was it No Dead Men, Dead Man's Chest and World's End.
At World's End.
Yeah, I mean, like I like the idea of needing to go save Jack from Davy Jones' locker. That's totally fine. That's cool. But like, it was just it was very jumbled and messy. Pirates 3 and 4, or 2 and 3 rather.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I always have this thing where it's like when I like something a lot, I always think, and it kind of lets me down. My reaction isn't necessarily to just like hate it and trash it, but how I would fix it if I was to do the next story.
Right.
And I felt that way with Spider-Man. 2007 was like a year of shit.
2007,
for-
baby.
Except for the Bourne Ultimatum, which was the perfect ending to the Bourne franchise. But Spider-Man came out, and that was a dumpster fire. Not dumpster fire. That's an over-exaggeration. But Spider-Man 3 was not very good.
Spider-Man 3.
Well, Pirates of the Caribbean 3.
Fantastic
sort of-
Four 2, I think, was in 2007 as well.
What was?
Fantastic Four 2, Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Oh, God, yeah, I think it was.
Rise of-
But actually, Fantastic Four Rise was better than the first Fantastic
Okay.
Four movie. So,
fair
but
enough,
that's
fair
not
enough.
saying
There
much.
Will Be Blood, great franchise film.
Yes. 2007 was amazing, but also it had some bad stuff. But it was. I have fond memories of going to the cinema in 2007, and I did see Pirates 3 multiple times that
oh,
year.
you did?
Because
Yeah.
all of our friends loved it, and like it was playing at the Dollar Theater in Applewood 9. You know.
I know. I was there too
I
for
agree
that.
with you. If you took out Venom from Spider-Man 3, it would improve things a little bit.
Oh, yeah, Die Hard 4. Die Hard 4.
Transformers, Frank, was not good. Franklin, I went in the cinema, saw it with the Dare twins, and at the end we were like, actually no, the beginning line, I sunk in my chair.
There
the opening line
was
was,
the
in the
cube.
beginning, there was the cube, and I was like, oh no.
I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't the Transformers guy. So,
I loved Transformers as a kid.
Yeah.
I loved it. Gen 1 and Beast Wars are my jam.
yeah.
But
Also, Luke,
Grindhouse
thank
is
you
good
so
film,
much
and I
for
don't-
like reading the comments because I keep trying to, but I don't want to interrupt you. So,
No, it's fine. I love emo Peter dance. I mean, in hindsight, I love it. The thing that always annoyed me about emo Peter was that people were calling him emo Peter,
But he wasn't.
And I'm like, guys, he wasn't that emo, but like what he was sort of like with the black suit was how he was sort of how he is kind of like when he's in the comics and in the old cartoon in the 90s. Like he's like aggressive, he's snarky, you know. I was like, he's not emo. He's just being Black Suit Spider-Man. But emo stuff was big.
the emo stuff was big, and his costume and his makeup just kind of, and his hair kind of reflected that much.
Yeah.
Huh? Oh, Christy,
Yeah,
just
no,
also a big
Fantastic
TF
Four 2
fan.
is-
Yeah. Beast Wars, you see, good taste, good taste right there.
Yes, Beast Wars is great, and I'm very, very, very nervous about the live-action film that they're doing with Beast Wars. I do not think it's going to be good, but I think Beast Wars is a perfect trilogy. It's 3 seasons, done. Beast Machines, not so good. But Beast Wars, holy crap, great show.
Yeah.
So anyway, back.
Anyway, yeah, back to Pirates. I wanted to say the way that I was like you were like, how do we fix this? So was that kind of your thinking when it
Yes.
came to just like
How we
what do
move
you like?
forward,
How do you do
how
it?
we-
Yeah, how do you do a better Pirates 3 essentially? Because for me, it's like the opposite. Because like I said with Alien 3D that I wanted to make when I was 15 and be like
Right.
for IMAX and make a 40-minute prequel of Alien, you know, but it's in 3D and it's IMAX. And I've had so many other movies that I wanted to do. Every year, you know, as a kid, I would be like, oh, I want to make the next Jurassic Park. I want to make the next this. I want to make the next that. And I would draw it and I would do that. So this is a natural extension to that, except I was older, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
Pirates 3, that movie, went to see it with my brother, and we coincidentally saw our uncle there too. And so I sat next to my uncle and his daughter,
Still in the same theater.
same theater. And when we went out,
You and I, you were there, but we didn't see it.
Oh,
together.
oh.
You were down.
oh,
Yeah,
we were
in
there
the
too. Okay, it was a party. It was fantastic. And
Yeah.
I knew that my cousin, my uncle's daughter, obviously, I knew that she was obsessed with Pirates of the Caribbean at the time. And she was like 13, you know what I mean? So it's like that prime, I don't know what it is with teenage girls. Actually, I do know what it is. And Pirates of the Caribbean. Why did I even, before it even came out of my mouth, I knew what I knew the answer. But you know, she would get the DVDs as they came out. I didn't buy 2 and 3 ever. In fact, I don't even have 1. Actually, I don't think. But when I was that age, at the end of the movie, I was like invigorated. I was like excited because not that the movie was good, but just that it was like it was just a fun thing to experience on screen. And you know, like for the location work that they did and all the production, you know, that they went through with that, it looks great. The movie looks great, you know.
It's stunning, yes.
And when it ended, I was like walking out the theater, and I don't know if anyone does this. Maybe I'm just the weirdest person to do this, but when I enjoyed a movie or I found something interesting about a character that was fun, I would I would pretend I'm that character walking out of the cinema. Is that weird? So in this,
no. I mean that's what you do with your heroes. You want to embody your heroes.
yeah. In this case, Barbossa, I was just like walking, like I did the limp, and I was like, yeah, you know, and it was exciting, you know. It's like, yeah, I was pumped.
Yeah.
And
yeah. No, I was the same. I left like mildly disappointed, but like thinking, okay, 2 and 3 really should have been one film, and I would love for someone to cut it into one film, and I would watch the heck out of that.
Heck out of it.
But yeah, I was thinking, okay, they've set up the Fountain of Youth. That's a great thing to go and do, and they set up this wonderful map that goes to all these new magical places. I thought that was really a really great setup to take the franchise further.
Mm-hmm.
And you and me both, you know, unbeknownst to each other, were thinking, okay, what would a Fountain of Youth Pirates of the Caribbean 4 really look like? That is both satisfying in ways that 2 and 3 were not, but also, you know, progress and truly progresses the characters forward. Where, you know, because there was sort of some progression with some stuff, but as you said, there was a lot of reset.
Yeah.
And you kind of, I kind of want to see people move forward in stories. I don't want them to always, if that's what always bugs me about the Marvel films, is that at the end of every Marvel film, like Iron Man always goes back to just being Tony Stark.
That's right.
Every time.
There's a status quo, and then that's how, I mean, that's in serials, that's kind of like the only way you can potentially infinitely expand on continuing to tell the stories, right? I just remember, I just realized that you probably can't see the background whenever I switch slides. Unless you're actually looking at the live screen, yeah.
I'm looking. No, I have it up on the side. That's how I can see the chat.
All right, cool. Very good. And yes, that is very Phil. Frank, that is very Phil. That's me. I limp like Barbossa, and I have no shame. So anyway, let's do this. So we both had this idea. I had this idea back in 2007, listening to the score, and I was in Croatia. Like my family was going on a vacation trip there, and you know we have these wonderful Mediterranean coasts. Listening to the music, right? You know,
great score.
Yeah, and then I was like, what if there was a Pirates 3, and what if there was an opportunity for me to actually get my cousin who loves Pirates of the Caribbean so much as in the movie as a cameo, like, you know, she can visit the set and, you know, maybe be a background person somewhere. And that was my motivation at the beginning. I was like, yeah, I want to do this because I'll be cool and I'll be the cool cousin and all that sort of stuff. And that's how I decided. That's how I was like, oh, what if this happened? So I thought of Blackbeard, and I thought Fountain of Youth, right? Because that was like Fountain of Youth was the big thing that they lent into. But now let's start with this. I always thought, don't do what the previous movie kind of tells you what the main plot's going to be. Like I always felt like, yes, Fountain of Youth is going to be there, but it's going to be there in a way you won't expect it to be. It's not going to be just like that's the whole thing. The quest for the Fountain of Youth, you know what I mean? I think that's kind of predictable in a sense that you know what you're going into.
Yeah.
So that's not what we did.
It's very. I mean, it's predictable in that, and this is hard because this is many years later. This having seen Pirates 4.
Yeah.
You know, but like it is predictable that okay, you find the Fountain of Youth, but of course it's going to be that trope of one life for another life sort of bullshit.
Yeah.
And how do you do something that's not that?
Yeah, exactly. So with that in mind, here's my slides that I'll be sliding through as we talk. And I don't know what to say about this. These are the opening pages. Look how frickin'
So
Self-important
yeah,
I was.
it's not self-important. It's quality stuff.
Well,
You know,
thank
you
you.
put a lot of effort into it.
I
And it was
totally
fun,
did.
right?
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Coming over to your house and staying till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, we were talking about. We were like, what if that? And not only what if that, but like, if he goes here, what will happen in the story? You know what I mean? Like, what are the consequences and what are the, the plot holes that we have to kind of patch up, and how are we gonna, get some kind of streamlined narrative going? To be,
Yes.
to be quality, right? And look at that.
So
look at this
let's
intro. Look at that. Hilarious.
let's go back and talk about like Crossbones. Like one of the things that what we were thinking about was, okay, well, you need the new big bad.
Yes.
And who is that going to be? And
Natural.
naturally, naturally we went with a Blackbeard kind of story, and I loved it.
Thanks.
It was great, and it was fun because it was the title Crossbones ties in very heavily with what we were doing with Blackbeard, and that is the kind of the plot of this story was about this race to find the cursed bones of Blackbeard the pirate.
Yeah.
So that they can be reassembled and bring about a new revolution of piracy, because with this timeline, the golden age of piracy is coming to an end.
Which is what
World's End, what it says.
exactly.
Yeah.
We're taking. That's what I love about doing a sequel, is that you have to take in what the previous sequel, even if you don't like it and even if you don't necessarily agree with it. Most of the time, it's so much better to try to take from that and make it better in the next one, and like follow through instead of ignoring it, because that's a bit of a cheap way out. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but
Yes. Yes.
but the more that you can do it, the better it is, I think, and I think it just elevates everything if you can.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yes. Yeah. So we went with Blackbeard as the main villain, or as the main sort of
MacGuffin.
looming threat.
Yeah.
He's not like the main villain per se, but he is the looming threat. And I thought that was really fun, because it played heavily into the, it was the new curse. When they were talking about
Exactly.
Pirates 2, they're like, what's the new curse? And it's these fish people.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, unlike the Last Jedi, Frank.
Let's not bring the Last Jedi in here.
We won't
It's
go
time for the Jedi to end.
And yeah, so carry on.
Yeah.
What's the first slide?
The next thing is that I just wanted to show you what kind of an obsessive person I was, where I just made all these notes and prepared all these things in this little package that I sent. And I'm gonna say it now. I sent this to Johnny Depp's sister, because she was the co-owner of their production studio, and I thought, who thinks out of the box? I guess Johnny Depp would think the most out of the box. And if there's anybody who would say, "What the hell? I'll open it," it would probably be him. I don't think Jerry Bruckheimer would do it. I know anybody in the executive level at Disney would never do that. You know what I mean? So I thought, let's put my chances with that. But I'm not going to send it to him. I'm going to send it to the production studio. And it's funny because we got to see her at the trial. That was interesting. His sister. And so you can see all these notes that I wrote over here. These are like letters that I printed out and I kind of weathered with coffee and all that sort of stuff. I actually did research and looked at actual like news articles and gazettes of the time, and I tried writing the way that it would be written. And these are like little snippets of the plot of the movie. It's like the world of the movie that you can read. So like there's a personal notice by a character that would have been in our movie that is sort of like asking Jack Sparrow for help or something, and stuff like that kind of was part of the world of that. And I just wanted to show you how ridiculous this was, because like here you go, there's that treasure chest that I printed out and made a book out of, and a DVD, and I sent that. Whenever it shows up to you, Luke, I'm really sorry about the lag. The live stream lag.
It's okay.
Yeah, I mean you can see it, right? It's there.
Yeah.
I guess I could have shared the the Google Slides, and then you probably could have seen it a lot faster.
I have the slides. I have the, and if it's the
Yeah,
stuff that
yeah,
you,
it's the stuff that you're seeing behind us. Yeah. So there it is. Just a nice little look at it. Get a good look. Looking at it for a long time, and we can move on. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's keep going, baby.
Yes. So we wanted, obviously, the other thing that was interesting is I didn't like Will and Elizabeth. They fucking annoyed me. Sorry, this is a grown up channel. So
Yeah, I put not intended for kids, so it's fine.
Good. Will and Elizabeth annoyed the shit out of me. I didn't buy their romance. I thought they were just lame. But I appreciate a romantic element in my stories, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, then we started thinking, okay, well, what would we?
It's the 4-quadrant
we do
thing.
Yes.
Studios love.
What would we do with this? And we were like, well, we landed on giving Jack a sort of love interest in this story. So why don't you talk about her?
All right. So, I mean, I always felt like for Jack Sparrow, this is the one thing that always bugged me whenever someone talked about how Jack Sparrow can't be a main character in a film, right? Because he's the Daffy Duck, he's the Bugs Bunny. He's not Bugs Bunny is a main, but that's a whole different thing. But he's, he can only work against other characters, against straight men, which is, the term, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand.
And to an extent that is true. But in another way, I think I mentioned this on the franchisography podcast that was a couple of months ago, where I say that, and this is a weird theory, and I don't know if it works or not, but I think that if you can just create proxies of characters you can bounce off on, they don't have to be one specific person. You don't have to have like the hero character, you don't have to have the Will Turner again, I don't think, to be able to move something along. And also the other thing is that you just have to give him some more depth. You just have to give some kind of seriousness to it. Remember that deleted scene in Pirates 1? Have you seen that one? The one where he and Elizabeth are stuck in the island, and they're stuck on the island. There's no hope for rescue, and there's this one part that was deleted where Jack kind of opens his shirt a little bit and shows his scars and all the wounds that he got, and that was like a moment of like, this isn't a joke anymore. He's been through some very harsh realities. And then I thought, of course, because this is how you 3-dimensionalize a character, and you can make him legitimate. And it doesn't matter how, to an extent, doesn't matter how silly he can get. You can really push something like that in there and not break what everyone loves about that character. So in this case, I think that we wanted this wonderful, nice little cute romance happening, where it was like this girl who they would pick up during the middle of the movie, where everyone's already hunting for those bones. There's a very specifically bad pirate faction which is here to get those bones to restart the pirate way of life, and getting them back on top like they used to be. The golden age is going to be back because we're going to find those bones, right? And we're going to resurrect Blackbeard with it because that was what he promised us, right? And then there's other factions, like there's the British Navy, there's the Spanish Navy, and then there's our pirates as well. There's Barbossa and the gang as well within all that. Barbossa does it mostly for like selfish reasons in our story, more or less, unless, and maybe later on we find out it might not be that selfish. And and so during these adventures that they would be having, they would pick up one of this girl that Jack for some reason has this strange, he has an attraction to. He finds quite charming, and what I wanted to do was I wanted to make it kind of like that she is kind of like plain, there's nothing particularly exciting about her. She's not what's her face, like Penelope Cruz in which also kind of
a beautiful woman,
and she doesn't have anything specific going for her, but for some reason, Jack's like, we're gonna take her aboard. She doesn't have any family. She wants to leave her the place where she's at, there's something that I need to do. I have to protect her somehow. I have to do, I have to be kind in some way. And it's odd, and it's always a little bit strange. And so during the story, and you have to remember that we'd never made a script. We had never gone into the stage where we wrote an actual script. We just did beat outlines. So that being said, so forgive me if there's something that's a little bit like shallow or like a little bit kind of paper thin in certain parts, because we've never actually sat down and wrote dialogue. We never went specific. But throughout this story, like, it's cute. It's a cute romance, and it's something you never see with Jack, because Jack's always going to be like, you always think, and that's how he was in the second and third movie. Like, remember with Elizabeth, it was kind of like borderline sleazy, and there were a lot of things. Yeah. And there's those other girls in Tortuga and stuff where you get slapped for these things.
Yes.
But in this case, we just wanted it to play it quite sweet and very straight, because it was something that's just unusual about it. And do you want me to just get to the point of why? Like, what happens? Or do you want to keep going because we have more pictures?
Let's keep going through the slides and kind of.
So so we just wanted to be kind of genuine about it. And I felt like that would kind of give, and it would give Jack Sparrow in certain scenes like many opportunities to talk about himself, to a person that he could feel a little bit more honest with, because like he's always this character that we know.
Also, after the shenanigans of Pirates 2 and 3, it was just the backstabbing, the twists, the turns, the motivation. It was all so nutty, and needlessly convoluted that it was like, it would just be nice to like actually grow the character, because it's like there was no real reason for him to constantly be. None of them needed to be betraying each other so much like they were in Pirates 2 and 3. It just wasn't unnecessary. There was no real reason for any of it.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, they've done that now. We've seen them bounce back and forth. Let's see Jack go on I guess more of an interesting character journey than what he did in 2 and 3.
Yeah, and what people expect to,
And this girl that joins the crew, not necessarily as a pirate, but who joins the crew, is the vehicle to kind of explore Jack's character in a way that the other films had yet to do, to kind of add a bit more to who he is, and maybe bust some of the sort of the legend and myth of Jack Sparrow, but at the same time adding to it, I think.
Yeah, and also like the human hair from my back with the sea turtles and all that. There's a lot of what's the truth in this anyway, right? And sometimes finding out the truth can be more interesting than than those kinds of things. So that's kind of what we wanted to do essentially. And also plot wise, we really didn't want it to be a confusing mess, and I don't know how you could make a confusing mess, because I don't think me or you are very good at doing what Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio did in the second and third movie, where they just kind of added on to things like, and there's like, it just starts stringing itself around with like what plots, what things you have to know. We just wanted to be kind of straightforward.
That comes back to filming a movie without a script. That's
another thing too. Yeah.
That's like, when you like are doing one of those like writing projects where you're like, oh, I'm gonna write the first bit, you take the next bit.
That's true. That's what they said they were doing too, when they were writing it. And like, no blame to them. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, it makes sense why 2 and 3 were such a mess, because it was like, well, you're not plotting this out. That's why you can kind of leave people scratching their heads, but you're throwing so much flash in the audience faces that like it's kind of hard for them to sort of follow what's going on, but they're also excited at the same time because, oh look, swashbuckling adventures happening.
Yeah, right. And and I mean that's the other thing we want to do too, in our story as well. Where do you want to go from here, Luke? Where do you want to go from here in this old story?
Let's talk about this slide. Let's go through this. You're racing through these slides.
Well, I'm racing through them because there's like a ton of slides.
Yeah, but we should talk about them.
Let's talk about. Okay, let's do it. Where did I stop? Where do you want to go back to? I'm sorry.
There was one at the moment it's on Rising Revenge.
Yeah.
But there was one on Jack that we should maybe check out.
Is it this one?
Um,
Sorry, the feed is really slow, so it's hard for Luke to see. Is there any way
Probably.
Is there any way for me
Is
to
the one
just
that
invite you?
Jack is a wanted man?
Yeah, is that the one you wanted?
That was the one. Yes.
Okay. I
Um,
mean, it's gonna be there at some point.
yeah.
It's gonna be there at some
I'm-
point.
I'm scrolling through.
Feel free to read my text, everybody. I wrote it when I was 19.
Send it to me. Did you send me everything?
I did send you everything. I
Did
did
you?
send
Oh,
you.
yeah.
I do that quite a lot.
For some reason it's not showing up for me. Maybe it's I don't know.
Sad.
Oh,
Shame. Shame.
Yeah, I don't actually have that slide. I
Can
don't
you
have that slide.
can you read it from the screen? Do you
No,
even
it's
does it even matter at this point?
What does it say? Well, I think we should talk about the motive. We should set up like what the world was going to look like in the beginning.
Okay.
Of Pirates.
Okay.
Pirates 3.
Let's do it. So you remember Pirates 3. You remember how Davy Jones was defeated, and so was the East India Trading Company. And what else happened in Pirates 3? Elizabeth and Will are out of the picture. Will is Davy Jones, but he's supposed to be invisible because that's kind of his duty, as I remember in the story. So all we have left is Jack Sparrow being, pretty upset that his Black Pearl is gone again, and Barbossa being pretty happy with himself that he has it. And yeah, but the thing is that he stole the wheel thing, the wheel map. And overall, like, they were always talking in the third one about how our time's coming to an end. The world used to be a bigger place. Look at the mythological figures that have been destroyed by the East India Trading Company. Look at this big squid. Look at it. It's over. Remember that?
Yes. Yes.
That's it, right?
So I don't have this slide, so you need to kind of go through this slide because I don't actually have it.
Okay, well, do you want to talk about the meta, like the overall situation that's in the story, or do you want to talk about the character specific, like plot trajectories?
Yeah, plot. Yeah,
Okay,
plot.
well, because I was wondering, like, do you want me to say, piracy is declining and the economy is going down, and I don't know,
No.
because overall there is this, like I said, there's the big bad pirate fleet that forms, because they are being pushed to a corner, right? Piracy, and so Brethren Court is no more because, let's face it, Elizabeth's not going to be Pirate King. She ain't doing that, right?
Correct.
That's kind of how I've been thinking about it. Like, she's not going to be Pirate King. She just leaves it alone. They don't know where she is, and so they kind of dissipate a little bit more. Sure, they've defended their integrity against the East India Trade Company, but they're still being pushed away because historically we would say that in real life that's what happened to pirates anyway. So that's kind of the
Yes.
reflection of it. And so in this movie, what we got is them being pushed to a corner, and a much more brutal and militaristic kind of pirate revolution kind of rises from there, right? And it's being led by this character that we never really officially named because we never did a script.
Pirate.
Yeah, and he's called
something.
Cool Pirate. We always used his name as Cool.
Pirate.
Yeah, he was Cool Pirate. All one word. And I mean, at some point I said, "Oh, we'll just call him Emmanuel Teach because Emmanuel's an ironic name because he's evil." And his last name is Teach because Edward Teach, and he claims to be a descendant of Blackbeard because that's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
It's just like in Dark Knight, actually, now that I think of it, where in their desperation they turned to a man they hardly understood.
Oh, right.
Well, sort of, but he's not at all a Joker character. He's just militaristic pirate guy that is forcing all the pirates to come in onto his banner. So it's kind of like what we saw with Barbossa and the Black Pearl in the first movie, but like times 100. You know what I mean? In terms of just being threatening. And and this is where the whole rumor about the bones comes in, because the reason why they weren't mentioned in the previous movies in our logic of thinking is just because there was no need to even think about that sort of stuff, right? Because like that, like, it could be forgotten. What?
Yes. Fritzy Joe says we should call him Coop.
Coop.
And then that's a great name.
Coop.
Why didn't we think of that? That's
Captain
great.
Coop.
He's Coop. That works. That works.
Yeah. What's above a captain? Commodore Coop.
Yeah.
So Commodore Coop, definitely, he's rising against that. Barbossa doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to be any part of this. He's had enough of this sort of like militarizing and being in different like big factions. So he's just striking on his own. And
yes,
I think from what I remember, his motivation at the beginning was just that he wanted to get his ship back. He didn't want to get his ship back. Sorry, my bad. He wanted to get the prized ship of Blackbeard. That was kind of like that was sort of like a vain sort of like Barbossa-y motivation at the beginning, sort of thing.
Yes, he had the pearl, but what he really wants is Queen Anne's revenge. He wants the Queen Anne's revenge.
Yeah, and that's sort of, and also just kind of to not make this pirate, this bad pirate Commodore Coop's thing to succeed either, if those rumors are true. So it might as well just look for the bones yourself.
Yes.
And in the story, what he does is he goes into this. I think this is my thing. Like at the beginning of the movie, where they would find certain clues to get them to the first bone, which was the skull. And we included the skull as kind of like a reference to the ride, with the skull at the beginning of the ride was like, ye be seeking adventure and salty old pirates, eh? Sure, you've come to the proper place. Remember that? I haven't been on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, by the way. Never.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen there's the walkthrough with on the Pirates of the Caribbean Blu-ray DVD. And I've obviously done that. But so anyway, we need to talk about the slide because we're not talking about the slides.
Well, we are talking about the slides. This is part of it.
Jack Sparrow is a wanted man.
Okay, yeah, he's a wanted man. Easy. He's a wanted man because he's the most we're just assuming he's the most famous pirate because you have heard of me, all that kind of stuff. And so naturally, the only person that the surviving members of the East India Trade Company, after they blew up whatever that big ship was called, the Dauntless. No, the Dauntless was the other one.
Like that. Yeah.
The other one.
Endeavor. I can't remember.
Endeavor. Yeah. After they blew that up, they're not gonna remember. Like, sure, there's Will, but Will is he's MIA now. And the only person they can kind of blame it on, because he wasn't on there, was he? No, he wasn't. It was Barbossa, wasn't it? Who was on the other ship?
Well, Will technically died, and most people could have assumed that he died. Yeah. So
the point is, it's Jack Sparrow. It's all pointed at Jack Sparrow, and that's why he's a wanted person. And that's why at the beginning of our film, he's nowhere to be seen. We haven't heard of him. Barbossa doesn't want to. I mean, Barbossa's looking for him because they want that piece of the map. And obviously, Jack Sparrow, if he were alive, he was gonna be looking for his ship because he's gonna get that back, right? That's the whole point of the end of the third film, right? And but he's not, because he's been kind of framed in this case to be the person who destroyed the East India Trading Company's like legitimacy, or like whatever you want to honor, whatever, wanted man, very wanted person. So he's nowhere to be seen. So that's why we start with Barbossa. That's how it goes.
Okay, we can go to the next one.
Thank you. Now we can go to the next slide, everybody. Now I can finally press the button and have it move. Because like a lot of these pages that I did are essentially just stuff that I already mentioned, right? It's the skull. It's like whoever gets the bones. You resurrect Blackbeard. There he is.
We can dive into a little bit more. Like, that's kind of the surface stuff. So we can dive in a little bit more.
Okay. Cool. No worries.
Is it on the Blackbeard?
It is
slide now.
Yes, it is.
Okay, yeah. I like this idea. I thought this was quite cool.
Thanks.
This whole his bones are scattered. This sort of ancient curse that's been put on them.
Yeah.
Because it just felt very Pirates of the Caribbean-y to me,
Yeah.
you know?
And
And I like this idea that, they get this, this skull is, gotten first, you know, because it's skull it is a skull that they get first.
yeah, that's the idea, right? They get the skull, and then they
It's
get
kind of haunted.
yeah, and then they get the jaw, which
Yeah. Which brings us back, which was quite fun.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to kind of link things back to the original, the other films. And because we had that Brethren court and all that kind of stuff, it was like, okay, let's have Blackbeard be the king, the first pirate king.
that's right.
For binding Calypso.
Exactly.
So it's all sort of, there's references that call back to the other films, but like we're not like relying on those other things. So nice.
No,
little
yeah,
reference
absolutely,
thing.
absolutely. And here's a nice picture once Luke sees it and everyone else sees it. But here's a wonderful picture of Coop, Commodore Coop.
Oh yeah.
He was always kind of a preeminent kind of villain character, and we really wanted to avoid stuck-up British people again, right? So we wanted to get, how many times can you say that in Pirates of the Caribbean they had a bad pirate that wasn't a supernatural
Yes.
threat, right? That wasn't
No.
a Blackbeard with his stupid magic sword, and that sleepy Blackbeard with his magic sword, or some kind of floating demon monster, or a tentacly boy, right?
Yes.
And we wanted to have something like
Yes.
that, but also someone who would kind of drive the plot along forward, but wouldn't be necessarily the main bad guy to take down. You know what I mean? He wasn't like the focus of being, because like the whole idea was that this is a race, this is like a rat race to get all these bones. Instead, it's a treasure hunt, and it's funny how Pirates of the Caribbean never really got that. They never did the treasure hunt thing.
I never did a treasure hunt. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could say they kind of did it with Davy Jones's heart.
Oh yeah,
But-
yeah.
But half of that film was more about finding Jack.
True. Yeah.
Than anything else. They set it up, but they didn't really, it just wasn't done.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't done. It was boring. It was the hunt for the chest was boring, in my opinion.
That's right. That's right. Where were we? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Right, the Teodalma thing. That's what it was.
Yeah.
We wanted to go back.
I like
Yeah,
that.
go on.
I like that we returned to Teodama's house, and because that's kind of like she has all this. She has so many like mystical
Yeah.
objects.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if like the skull was partly responsible for leading them there or something like that. I feel like there was something along those
I mean,
lines.
from what I remember, it was just Barbossa's intuition. He was just like, I mean, he always kind of knows something everyone else doesn't, and he's just like, we're gonna go over there, and then they're like,
Yeah. So I like that. I like that we returned to that because this is after she's been released. No one's been there.
Mhm.
Like it's all kind of dilapidated. So it's another one of those like it's a nice little callback, but it serves a really good
Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah.
It's driving the thing forward, but it's another one of those signs. It's like this age is in decline.
yeah, that's another
This
one of
era
those
is-
things.
This era is really coming to an end. And I love that.
Yeah, and she used one of the jaw as a door handle. That was my little joke there.
Oh, that was fun. Yeah, I remember. That was cool.
And
That was
they
cool.
put the skull, the top of the skull and the bottom of the skull together, and then it starts talking, and it starts talking in riddles, and it starts talking very vaguely, and it won't shut up, and there's and it becomes kind of like a character throughout the thing, because this is what you use to get the skull, is what you use to find those bones. Because let's just pretend that stupid compass that shows you what you want most doesn't work, because you're looking for Blackbeard's bones. It's just going to point to the skull. So you're going to have to use the skull. And the skull is going to tell you, but it's going to tell you in stupid little riddles. That's just how it
Yes.
goes. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
before that, they
I
have
like-
to get Jack back, though.
Yes.
Because as
They
far
need-
as... Yeah.
I think this is something that we talked about, but I don't know if we ever like fully fleshed out properly.
No, yeah. The
There
reasoning
was-
behind
there
that?
was some sort of- what?
Like the reasoning behind why they have to get Jack back? Like... Barbossa.
Yeah, I think we did have a reason at the time. There was some sort of reason as to why. Actually, I think they get Jack back first. I think they
That's
get
the first
Jack,
thing. Yeah, first like
and
the way
and
this.
then they get the skull.
Yes.
And then they go to Alma. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why. That's the order of events.
Yeah,
you know?
and
so it's
yeah, and look, I want everyone to know, whoever's listening at the moment, is that Luke is Luke is the man who knows how to like properly map these things out and kind of like flesh out a narrative, and like really he can really pinpoint, you know, the different ways they're going to make sense and kind of balance the overall image. And I'm more I'm just going to admit this, I'm more of a like sort of like a gag kind of person. So I'm just like, you know, you want me to like I got a good sequence for when Jack gets you know, when they try to get Jack back, you know what I mean? So I
was like trying to rein it in. Let's think about how this works in a narrative.
Yeah, but like I'm just like this. So it's like they get on this island, and it's like this small island because, you know, Jack is still with Gibbs, right? And they get into this like small market island, and they have to. Barbossa knows he's there, and they do it because and the way that, you know, the Black Pearl is also a wanted ship, so they had to paint it over, and they had to pretend that the Black Pearl is a different vessel. They, you know, they're like that's kind of my idea. I don't know if you remember this, Luke, or not. You know, like they had to kind of go undercover, and they had to do something mean to the Pearl, and, you know, Jack Sparrow will find that out and be very upset about that. And but what they do is they go to this small little market island area, and they know that he's there because that's like the only kind of place. We didn't really figure this out, but there was like the only place where he wasn't, you know, he wasn't found out. And I don't know what the logical you know, what do you call that? Like,
why is he there? We would come up with the reasons to why he's in this.
But the sequence, I love the sequence because you know, it would be this great little like dependent on like great music sort of moment where he outsmarts everybody. You don't see his face, and this is like one of the shots, right? This is where he's like, Barbossa's like in the background of that shot where he's like, you know, you go that way, you go this way, Jack's gonna be here somewhere, and then you just see his, you know, his feet in the foreground, like going away, walking away, and he's just kind of screwing with them, like getting them to kind of split apart, and they don't know where he is, and there's a lot of crowds, and then, you know, and then they're like, oh, there's the one with the hat. Of course, it's his stupid hat. Let's follow his hat. And it's not his hat. And it's, you know, so on and so forth. And then we've realized that he's actually doing the same thing he kind of did in the first movie, where he's distracting the entire crew and getting his ship back and escaping. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And they didn't even know.
Yeah. What's also cool about this scene is then it then sets up the kind of the reason for the Spanish army to be going after them, because there's going to be a lot of fallout from this kind of arrival of pirates and stuff like that, and then the Spanish kind of begin to chase them.
Yeah.
After this point,
and it would be a skull, it'd be a real skull. It's actually, it looks like, where's my picture? I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna show you.
Yeah, no, so yeah, it wouldn't be a zombie skull, but thinking about it, like, it would be cool if maybe there was like a bit of like dead flesh on it or something.
Sure, I mean, up to
you.
you. We didn't get very far with the development.
No, it would have been. I mean, like, it would have been a really creepy looking skull. It would not have been. It would be just like your typical.
Yeah.
You know.
And it would be white. And it would be 100% marketable. You know, for Walmart and stuff. You'd want to buy a collector's item of it because like that's kind of how I imagine it. It had like these carvings on it, and it would kind of glow red, and there's like a ruby in it because it's used as a lantern or whatever. And it becomes Jack's best friend in the end of the during the story. Yeah. So they get him, and then they go, and then this is kind of where the middle point, right, is, because like I remember we had moments where the bad pirates catch up to them when they get this skull, because they've always been following them anyway. What?
Very good idea, Frank. That's a good idea.
Flesh grows
Frank
in
says
this.
as the flesh grows.
Oh, that will be good. I like that.
Cool.
I like that.
That's a good idea. Definitely.
So they get corn. They get there was a stalemate that we had in mind. Like once they get the skull, once the plot is sort of like set up, You know what I mean? Like all this, you know the stakes, you know what's happening, you know that Jack and Barbossa have to work together again. Still don't remember
So
why.
that's end of Act 1. We've got Jack. Know what we're after. End of Act 1. Boom. Bada bing. Bada boom.
Bad pirate Coop shows up, and then there's this stalemate that happens. I remember that. It was like where Jack shows why he's so useful. Anyway. Yeah. And why I still can't remember what the motivation is that he's with Barbossa at this point. You know what I mean? Like it just I can't remember, but I think I don't know. Like I remember what it was. There was a scene that I made up where it's like for a joke. He's just there because this might not work. This might not fly in a finished version, but like it's just because they're pretending to be a rum trading vessel, so they have a lot of rum. And he's like, I'm not gonna join you guys. And then it smash cuts to him joining them, and he's forced to be like the cabin boy or whatever. And he's like, bloody pirates.
Yeah. Frank says that this is like the Mummy 1999.
Oh wow.
I don't remember the Mummy.
In the Mummy, he takes the souls of people who opened the box. He will regenerate and no longer be the undead by the plague upon this earth. And then.
Okay, right.
And then it becomes a slasher.
But sure.
Yeah.
I get that. But what's cool is though we did have to think about, okay, well, when they're on the hunt and following the clues to the bones and where they're buried.
Yeah, and
right?
so this is Act 2.
Yeah, this is Act 2. So this is the hunt for the bones. And
I would want to add that we would have introduced other characters that we never thought of at the moment, and we would start kind of filling the story with more like subplots with the British, for example. Like maybe they have something, they're like the peasants are revolting, the pirates are being, this faction is too much. We have to nip it in the bud, and then there's some other characters that we never really.
And for Barbossa and stuff like that, this whole thing is he is after the ship. He wants the ship. He's not after the bones, but this is his way of finding Blackbeard's ship.
And if the room, like I said, if the legends were true, not giving the bad pirates or the British or anybody else the chance to resurrect Blackbeard and start something that would not be favorable, because he probably plans to retire. He's done with this. You know what I mean? He's old.
So what was cool is that we needed to kind of like think of, because we weren't gonna have like zombies or
that's the other thing,
or anything like that. So what we did, and I guess this is a bit more sort of like maybe like King Kong-esque, I don't know, but like wherever they landed to sort of get the next bone, there was some sort of like mythical beast that they sort of had to deal with, and overcome kind of thing, which I think would make for just really fun fun action.
This whole middle part is definitely the least organized, because to be honest, you could put anything in here now. Like there's a lot of little creative moments that could be put in and interwoven with character moments and different shenanigans that Pirates of the Caribbean is kind of known for doing. And then there's the location, which I kept pushing with, because this is only because I'm half biased, just a little biased, but I mean, Croatia has a lot of really wonderful locations, and I wanted some way for the pirates to go to the Mediterranean, because I think that's a place we've not seen in movies. I've never seen enough like beautiful Mediterranean locations outside of like Troy, which was mostly filmed in Mexico anyway. In big movies like this, and so like I might have done some mental gymnastics to try to get them to Spain, because like, oh no, that's right, because some of the bones have been found and then they've been turned into some kind of relic and then they put in the church. You know what I mean? Because I don't know if you know Roman Catholicism, especially here and stuff, they just love bones. Bones are everywhere. They're all around the place. So this would be just something that they had since then, and then you have to go there somehow. So we put Spain in there just because I wanted the location, and it would be interesting.
I think to kind of sum up the middle bit is it becomes this kind of fight between Coop and Jack Sparrow and Barbossa, to sort of find this stuff. Ultimately, what happens is that the good guys are falling behind. They're not winning. The bad pirates, led by Coop, are able to assemble the bones, and resurrect
Blackbeard.
Resurrect Blackbeard.
It just had to happen.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's ultimately the big bad of the show, and like comes in at the third act. He resurrects at the beginning of the third act, and it's sort of like all hell is about to break loose.
Yeah.
Sort of thing after this sort of
Yeah. So let's go back to the girl.
Shape.
Let's go back to the girl now.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the girl. Here's a wonderful slide from my 19-year-old self and my 19-year-old self sketches. There's a nice little gag of Jack Sparrow trying to play it cool and leaning on his sword as it bends, and it's funny. And so yeah, there's she's just kind of plain. She's pretty, but she's not like she's not what's her name from the Queen's Gambit. There's no unique. There's like no unique kind of visual. I don't know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? But then I drew this, and it's way better. A couple of years later, whenever it shows up. Anyway. Yeah. Let's go back to her.
How we have her described in one of the slides here is that she's like an ordinary, frail and ill young woman.
Yeah, she's ill. That's right. Always coughing, always weak. That's another thing that we wanted to put in. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's not like we're like looking for someone who's like we're not going for like some like dumpy thing, but like there's something sort of ghostly about her. She's very very thin, very frail. Not necessarily like thin as in like skinny, fat, thin, but like there's just something just thin about her that is odd but sort of enchanting, but she's not we're not pulling out some sort of stunning Keira Knightley, Penelope Cruz.
Yeah, even though I drew this picture, but whatever, it's a picture. I didn't cast anybody. I just did a good. This was from 2011. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, so that's something that's quite important to understand. Is like there's this ghostly element to her, and this kind of, but there's an allure for Jack as well as we discussed. But if you want to talk about what happened,
but. So, after all this adventuring and double crosses and ancient beasts from the sea, and like things that are Indiana Jones like guarding these bones and different pieces,
Also, I just need to add is because you're on this slide as I'm on it as well. Barbossa, because he is always in the know, is the one who says she's coming with us. Jack's like, why? He's like,
that's what it was. There we go. There's something there.
Yeah. And so Barbossa has information, as he always does, that he's not disclosing, and so we're sort of wondering what does he know about this girl, and why is this kind of sickly girl so important to what we're doing?
Y'all. And so the third act happens, and they're captured. The bad pirates get it. They assemble. They assemble all the bones. The bones are just sitting like this, like in some kind of, very much like the first film, where it's like this procedural kind of what do you call that? I can't remember the word. You know what you do when
the bones are sitting.
Yeah. And
they're laid out.
Then the thing is, someone says, we need the girl. I think Frank would have probably found out why. Well, not why, but he knew that there was something coming there. And then they said, we need the girl. And he's like, why do you need the girl? Because haven't you thought about it? She doesn't know where she is. She doesn't have a family. She's, she's always sick. She's always weak. And there's a reason why she showed up at the time that she did in the way that we found her.
I'm not seeing Northman, Frank, and also we came up with this in 2008. Like the King's Bones and Northman. That's great for the Northman.
I love the King's Bones. That was a good scene though. I like that scene. It was a good scene.
I never saw that. I've not seen
Oh, you should watch it. It's good. It's quite good. It's Lion King, but Northman.
Yeah.
So anyway, they say, well, like, what is it? Well, she has to be brought there to fuse with the bones of Blackbeard, because she wasn't actually a person. She was actually holding Blackbeard's actual life in her. So that was
she is the soul of Blackbeard.
That's why she has the black hair. And she's like, I don't want to do this. This isn't what I wanted. I became my own individual at this point, after so long. I don't want to, but you can't resist after you've been caught and you're lost, and these guys want Blackbeard to be resurrected. So we have this very sad moment where she has to be like, I guess I'll die, and she does. She does die, and it's very sad. Jack has to see it because he's captured.
It's not necessarily that she's just like, well, I guess
No. She's not going to do that. You know how it is. I put a little levity to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
she's taken and she's forced to, like, in the ceremony, her soul.
Yeah, and it's a big moment. Like, it's that drop of the second act kind of moment. You know what I mean? Like that lowest point.
Yes.
And it's also kind of spectacular because I loved it. It was like whenever she approached the skull, because she has to, she's forced to, because they're captured by all this pirate fleet, right? They want this to happen. The bone reacts to her coming closer to it, so the bones kind of move when she's moving as they come close together, and then they just kind of fuse. And I just had this image. I don't know if you can see it on there. Look at these old sketches.
Yeah.
Where her hair turns into his beard, and I'm just like, I'm the best. I love that was cool. That was a good idea. So yeah, he just kind of fuses into becoming Blackbeard, and Blackbeard's back.
I do think what I like about this is it does sort of like where, like, in the first film, they're going to sacrifice Elizabeth.
Oh yeah,
and then they obviously don't. In this, we're like, actually, we're gonna do the sacrifice.
There was a talking skull in the Northman. It was, I have to say, like, Luke, you should probably see it. It's pretty good. It's fun. I mean, it's not fun. It is fun, but it's not fun. Never mind.
Right.
Don't listen to me. Willem Dafoe's in it. He's great.
He is great.
So there you go. There's some more imagery.
That then brings us into this crazy third act.
The crazy third act, in which we have disagreements because we've never really got that far, because it's another action sequence, and I think that naturally when you're.
Well, that's not true. We did get pretty far. The
Fountain of Youth.
Blackbeard. Say again.
Fountain of Youth is also included. I forgot about that too.
Yeah, the ultimate thing is, once Blackbeard has been resurrected, I think he needs to, like, get to the fountain. There's a reason he needs to go to the Fountain of Youth, and that's ultimately where we like have our big finale, similar to the
Yeah, this is gonna sound really funny, but now I just remembered why Jack Sparrow was joining them, because he knows where the Fountain of Youth is, because he actually went there already. That's what it was.
Yeah,
he went there already. That's in our story. So he went there already. He was just like, yeah, I went there and there's nothing there. Like, honestly, like, I went there and there's just a puddle. It's just a big rocky little islet with a, sure, there's someone that made a well, but the well just goes into seawater and there's nothing. It didn't make me immortal. It was just salt water, and I gave up. But I know where it is because I went there, So that's why they brought Jack with them. That's what it was. Because we had the whole thing with the Fountain of Youth happening, yeah. Because we found out what happens is that we find out that, just as an aside, what happens is that we find out that the Fountain of Youth is actually underneath. It's in a cave. It's actually under the water, under that little islet, and it's this geyser of super powerful water shooting up, mystical, dangerous, eternal, upwards going fountain. And you just, even if you wanted to get the water out, you couldn't, because it's so strong. It's a very strong beam of water pressure, and it's like they tried, they can't get any. Even if you wanted to get a taste of that immortal water. So there's a little there's a little addition to the story.
Yeah, so it would have been a cool visual thing to see, but it also would have been the thing that is able to break the curse and kill Blackbeard ultimately. Because if you remember, there's this bit where once they have all kind of assembled at the Fountain of Youth, fights break out.
The Spanish show up.
Blackbeard's pushed into the stream, and the stream obliterates.
And in typical pirate fashion, Blackbeard wasn't here to do any pirate revolution. He's just like, no, I thought that, he was just like, look, I thought that, might as well get cursed and see if it works. And so when he comes back, he's just like, ha.
We toyed with that, but I wasn't sold on that. This is where the third act was probably the most underdeveloped aspect of this.
Because we did have some ideas that we threw around. Like, for example, I had the idea that because we knew that eventually the bad pirates would be, because there are villains, right? They would be the ones to kind of get the upper hand, bring Blackbeard back, because they were the most passionate about it. Teach Coop would be spearheading this, and we would see how cruel and kind of like Dennis Leary, no, not Dennis Leary, just kind of cool, calm and collected he would be about these things, and how he's he was just ordering everybody around a lot. And we knew that, and so there was some things that we wanted to bring into it. Like, I wanted to bring in the Cortez chest again, because some people in the new pirate brethren, whatever they're making, I think we called it the new brethren court, because they're the new one, or the better brethren court. They would one of them would bring it in. They would say, we brought it from the island, and it's we might, maybe we could resurrect Blackbeard like this, because I think no one knew how to do it, because no one knew about the girl. And they brought it there. And so there would be this moment in the third act where, after fights go around and all that sort of stuff, then Barbossa, he cheekily takes one of those and then becomes zombie Barbossa again, and then kind of takes out Teach Coop. That's right. Yeah. I just wanted to get zombie Barbossa in the moonlight again, and kind of give the fans some fun moments like that. And also, I just wanted to, before we kind of cap the story off, I just wanted to say that there's a bunch of characters that we were always kind of spitballing around. We had the Spanish captain. We had a whole scene in a Spanish city that would be filmed in Croatia, with I always thought a F. Murray Abrams played Spanish captain of the guard who's chasing them would be amusing. And we would do, and speaking of Men in Black, they would that's exactly where I lifted this from. There's this moment where Jack Sparrow pretends to be a guard with the Spanish guards, because he's hiding. They're looking for those bones, and he immediately finds Jack Sparrow in his ranks, and he starts speaking Spanish to him, and he's just like, yeah, you're very ugly, huh? And then he's laughing, and everyone else is, they kind of get that. And then there's a horse chase, and then there's and we find out that Barbossa is really good at riding a horse, and Jack Sparrow can't even sit on one. So you can imagine the fun action scenes around Mediterranean cities we can have, and you can see how there's moments where Jack tries to the same kind of the deal where he's trying to get an upper hand on Barbossa, and Barbossa's trying to get him. And there were all these little moments that it would be a little bit time consuming to just keep regurgitating, but we had a lot of fun stuff like that. I remember we also had one more character. I remember there was a Brian Blessed guy that I wanted to be one of the captains, and I also wanted the guy. I wanted to bring the guy who, the guy who's do you think he really plans all this out, or he's just making it all up? Remember that guy? That's got to be the best pirate we've ever seen.
Shit. guy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we wanted him to be the next kind of Commodore that kind of chases them. But in this case, whenever they're in like, whenever they confront each other, whenever he has to, whenever the British show up to kind of, stop this bone chasing, he's kind of like, I don't want to hit you. You're really cool, Jack Sparrow. I mean, I love you. You know what I mean? Like you're cool, but I have to. And so like he gets, so he gets his ass handed to him a few times, but he loves it. You know what I mean? Like he's just like, that is so rad. There go those pirates. And I think that he would have shown up at the end to kind of help our pirates.
I think so. Yeah.
Take down.
So then it
was,
it's
fan service, but
that was, well, fan service is fine. There's you can have your fan service without it being annoying or cheap. I think there are really fun ways.
Yeah, there's ways to try to do that, and I think that
a good example of fan service is in the what's the episode called? It was the 40th or 45th anniversary of Star Trek, and which happened during Deep Space Nine, where I think it's called like Trials and Tribulations or something with. It's I know you're kidding, Frank, but there's this really cool bit where they go back in time and the Deep Space Nine crew have to kind of stop this plot to someone's going to explode a particular space station and kill. They want to kill Captain Kirk. They want to kill Captain Kirk.
Sorry, I'm laughing because Frank's laughing.
And then they gotta stop it happening, right? So there's all these little moments like the Deep Space Nine crew are like, having these moments with the original crew.
Yeah.
And it's great. And there's like one bit at the end where like Captain Cisco like goes and hands the report to Captain Kirk, and they have a brief conversation, and it's just like it's so great.
Fun. Yeah, it's fun. It's good stuff. I wanted to there's one more character I forgot. This one I never got to mention this character because I had him in mind for like since 2008. I vividly remember. I always wanted like a crew member with the Black Pearl that loves like he's also kind of like, not that he is a huge fan of these big characters, Barbossa and Jack, because those are like the two pillars. Like that's what I kind of liked in the third movie, where you can really feel that they're like kind of above everybody else and they're kind of playing their own game and they're just kind of really at each other's throats all the time. There's like, and I wanted the character that looked like a leading man. He looked like, Raul Bova. I always keep thinking about him. He was in Alien vs. Predator, so you can tell how long this was when I was thinking about it. Someone who has like this beautiful face, and you think he's going to be like this Will Turner character, but he's just like everybody else, and he's just like, I'm going to help Captain Jack every time, and then he always messes up and always puts something in jeopardy, but he's always with the crew. He's part of the gang, but the joke is that he looks like he's gonna be the main character all the time. So anyway, like there's stuff like that. Anyway, I wanted to point your attention to these three frames here. That was the one where the last piece of ash falls from the girl, as you can see. Jack is very sad about this. And then there's the there's that other keyframe there where he's wandering around a town because he's smitten and he's done. And then that's like the last frame of Jack Sparrow being destitute and sad because the girl died. He just kind of bumps into the side of a building, and that's kind of like the end of that little montage. And also that's the way Barbossa brings him back, because he knows that Jack's gonna come back and help us out anyway. And that's kind of, and then when Jack comes back in that climactic fight, either it was in the Fountain of Youth, or it was, I think that's where everyone converged at the end. That was our kind of like ending set piece.
It was,
yeah, and then Jack Sparrow comes back, and it's like, oh yeah, tides are turning, and and big fight happening. Blackbeard's there. He's more imposing than life, and all that kind of stuff, and it ties loose ends. Go on. Could you help me out here, Luke? Oh yeah, and also we had a giant crab. Yeah. Giant crab. Never talked about the giant crab. There's the giant crab. Love the giant crab. I had fun gags with the giant crab.
No, Frank, she's not going to come back because the love made her real.
The love made her real.
Then it was. I remember it being so annoying. I guess in our naivety, we were like, it'd be great if this was done. But then it was so frustrating when
Uh,
they announced Pirates 4 officially.
yeah, I took it so bad. Like I took every project I wanted to make, and they would make for real, really bad, personally and badly. Now I grew up,
Yes.
so I'm not affected about this anymore. They can do what they want, and they will do what they want. You know, can't stop
Yes.
this. You can't control what's happening out there. So
No.
yeah, I
And
was not. I learned my lesson.
And I mean, the idea of using the Fountain of Youth is obvious because they set it up in the last one, so that made sense. They're going to go there. Okay, that's fine. But then the fact that like they're going there, they're using
Blackbeard.
They've got Blackbeard's daughter who's connected. All this
Love thing.
kind of stuff. Even like the kind of the opening sequence, which is Jack in London trying to get out, has a very similar vibe to
Because
what
it's like a city.
we
Yeah.
yeah we wanted to do this city vibe thing where he's got to get out of the city and blah 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 blah. And then the English are after him, but this time the English are
Yeah.
in the film or
It sucks when the trains of thought kind of are similar.
yeah it was annoyingly similar.
Yeah.
Um,
But I want to talk about just the conclusion of our story real quick. So everything's wrapped up. Blackbeard's dead. Barbossa stays alive because we're not idiots. If you kill somebody once in a movie and they're resurrected and they become you can't kill him again. You can't kill him again. It doesn't matter how dramatic the death's gonna be. I feel like it just feels dishonest killing him again. It just doesn't feel right. So what we had in mind was, okay, so they saved the day with the help of the Spanish. There is no pirate revolution. The bad pirates are done. They're gone. They've been taken out by this. I think in this case we had the Spanish capturing them, but they're still the pirates, right? Jack, Barbossa, all the other guys from the Black Pearl, they're also under arrest, right? But this Spanish guard captain is like, listen, I know I should be taking you back, but I know like he found this out sometime. There's a whole there's a whole second act we didn't thoroughly comb through and develop, but let's just pretend it happened. And the Spanish guard is just like, yeah, no, I believe in you guys, and I'm just gonna pretend you're all dead too. So I'm gonna let you go, right? He lets the Black Pearl go, and they leave. Jack Sparrow has a little eulogy as the sun rises, as you can tell up there in the first frame. He throws his hat away. His hat is thrown away into the sea. It's a very nice little, dramatic moment. Barbossa talks to Jack a little bit.
I guess I think for us as well, this was meant to be like a proper end.
Yeah.
Because 3 left it open, and it's like, well, there's not a lot of time left for pirates at this point in history.
Because they mentioned it
anyway.
in the third movie too. Yeah.
So it was like, well, let's bring it to a natural conclusion.
Yeah.
Which was.
And I wanted to, because Barbossa is my favorite character. That has nothing to do with what happened in this story, but I wanted to give him a big, he'll keep the ship, he'll keep the revenge, but he's like, I'm done, I'm old, I'm ready to retire. I have enough of that gold that was stashed in Blackbeard's ship, or it was from the bad pirates, whatever it is. I'm just gonna go to that same island that we found Jack on at the beginning of the movie. Jack takes him there with the Black Pearl, whatever it is, and that's where our last shot there is, right? And then Barbossa's kind of half drunk, and he's like sitting at the beach. He's like, "Hey man, sorry. Before that, there's this epic handshake. The epic handshake. I forgot about that. Where Barbossa and Jack finally kind of be like truce." And it was good with the music, and it would be like, the gods have finally kind of made peace with each other. That's what the crew's sing, and it has this dun dun dun. Like then they just do a shake and then they walk away. That would have been great because we can get Jeffrey Rush out of the movie before he makes a fool of himself in Pirates of the Caribbean 5. And
well, they all made fools of themselves in the 5th one.
Huh?
I said they all made fools of themselves with the 5th one.
Frank, I wanted to say let's rewind time and let's let's get onto the writing desk at Disney and then we'll make it happen. We'll probably develop the fact that she'll come back to life. We'll do a post credits. That's what we were gonna do. Post credits. Perfect. And and so I don't know if this is cheesy or not, but like the reason why he tosses his freaking hat away was because remember that one part where Elizabeth is pretending to be a boy in the second movie, and she's like, "I'm looking for the man I love," and then he's like, and then Jack's like, "The only woman I love is the sea," and he's just like,
Yeah.
That was a reference to that. So it's like, oh, he truly just loved the sea.
Although I think Frank does make a good point, because if it is a proper end, leave the girl alive, and it's not impossible. I mean, we could have done a sort of roundabout way of Jack knowing a way to resurrect her. Maybe there's always a way. There's always a way.
There's a way to do that. But like one of our last lines. So this is the coda now. Barbossa's on this island. It's sunset, as you can see with my nice little lovely storyboard I did when I was 19, and then Barbossa just asks Jack, "So what are you gonna do now when since there's no piracies happening? I'm not gonna be a pirate anymore. But I know that you'll never get away from this because that's in your blood." And he says, "What are you going to do?" I don't know if this is a cheesy line or not, but he turns around and he just goes, "I'm going to find a new hat." And then Barbossa just laughs, and he it's a little sentimentally. And the last shot is the one on the right, where it's like the sun is going down, Barbossa's just going, he's just saying nonsense, he's just laughing, just Barbossa does at the end with the music rising, dun, 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 and he's like, "Drink up my heart as you," whatever he's gonna say, and then he's just telling, and then Jack's walking away, going back to the Pearl with the crew, and that's the end of our movie.
And then, of course, the real fourth movie came out, and it was terrible.
Yeah. And then we got really mad, and then I got mad, and then I was like, you know what, I'll do 5.
To this, by the time Stranger Tides came out, wait, is that the fourth one?
Yeah.
What's the fourth? Yeah.
December.
By the time Stranger Tides,
I hated it because everyone was talking about it.
Yeah, I was living in. I had moved to London. I was in Manchester actually, and but once they announced it, my interest in pirates died.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, our story is never gonna happen. Not that it ever would, but
yeah. I mean, like,
still react that way.
I didn't, and look, I learned from this already. And I also have a revelation to tell you because I remember what Frank said about Men in Black 2 and the girl.
And I was going to say, because then your reaction to this was that you wanted to retroactively refit this story.
Yeah.
Into like a 6.
A 5 or a 6, because they said they were going to do 5 and 6, So I'm like, well, let's do 5 and 6. Fine, let's do your 5 and 6.
Yeah, and I was like, mate, just let it go. And you're like, no, I can't.
I know.
You gotta keep going.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
and
on,
we're not gonna go into that in depth at all, but but I do have the paintings I did for 5, and I'm just gonna quickly slide through those right now.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, so basically my idea was like, okay, so if we're gonna make the end of piracy, let's make it the end of piracy. Let's make it like, the apocalypse, you know what I mean? Look at Jack, look at this guy. He's sad. He's sad. And that's just what's gonna happen. It's gonna be like this. So let's retroactively put that skull bones thing again. But let's just put more dread into it. Just a second.
Okay. So Frank, you were saying, so Frank, you never saw the 4th movie, but you did see the 5th. I mean, the 4th one is terrible and it is quite pointless. You actually don't need to see. I mean, you don't need to see any of them, to be fair. After the 3rd one, but the 4th one is particularly boring, and then the 5th one has all these weird retcons. Like, why Barbossa having a daughter makes no sense. Like, timeline wise, I don't know if you remember. I have somewhere on my YouTube channel. I did a Pirates of the Caribbean timeline. Like, it makes no sense for Barbossa to have a 20-year-old daughter. There's no time for him to have had a 20-year-old daughter.
Are you talking about me again?
No, I was talking. I was responding to Frank's comments.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, she catches his hat like Evil Dead. Dun dun. It's gonna be
Yeah.
good. Honestly, like, I'm all for changing this. Like, I'm malleable, but I mean, it's been 10 years, so.
Yeah, you were happy to, and I was like, nah, I'm done. I like
So-
just what we did.
Yeah, okay, but
We-
but look at me. Look, wait, let me show you the last grasp. I know that you didn't care about this too much, but I put a lot of artwork into this. It's like, so I'm like, okay, so film 5 is gonna have, pirates. Look at this is the first logo, and then it's the second logo, and it's gonna be like, okay, so we're going into the age of industry, and everything is going to, everything is just. It's going to surmise to Jack being the last pirate, and it's going to be about storytelling, and it's going to be about a legacy, and it's going to be about, like, what do you leave behind as an important... And I think those are all pretty valid themes, but granted, it came from me on a level of quite harshly personal disappointment, maybe, and kind of like I was a little too deep into it. I wanted to make Logan but Pirates of the Caribbean, but still keep it Disney. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Jack Sparrow wouldn't die at the end either. Just saying.
Yeah.
But there was this really good storyboard sequence I did, which I was quite proud of. So
Make it the Margot Robbie Pirates movie. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, Frank. Disney would have to hire us to do that.
yeah, or
I'm not gonna do any more work on a pirate
I mean,
story.
or if they wanna buy the script, like buy the story rights, go for it.
Yes. They
I'm fine. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that too.
Oh man! I mean, the funny thing is like, you did send.
I
this stuff
know,
to
I know,
Johnny Depp.
I know. But here's the thing, right? Not only is Johnny Depp not in good, I don't know if maybe it's gonna come back. Maybe he's gonna make a big comeback now. But like, you're not like legally you're not allowed to really look at this stuff unless you're doing it through an agent. That's the kicker, right?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things you're not allowed to do, but people do. So what I'm saying is I wouldn't be surprised, given what happened in the fourth one, I wouldn't be surprised if someone cracked open that box, read through some stuff, and ideas were used.
I'll be sad.
Just
I'd be disappointed. Anyway, here's a storyboard running at the moment. It's gonna be hard to sync it, but it's an animatic. Whatever. It's Tiadama and Davy Jones. I wanted to start that number 5 to be that, and it's like a little tragic
it was
moment.
it would have been fun. But there we are.
Yeah, and then we had Will Turner show up to give Jack Sparrow a pep talk because this is the Logan of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, we did.
What?
Yeah.
But he was
We
him
did
in like
have
in
to-
silhouette. It's like it was a very, very calm and very like ritualistic moment. You know, it was like a very Mufasa and Simba thing.
Yeah.
And then this was like the last fight, like on the Bermuda Triangle. That's what we did. At least I thought of it. Like
all of some of the bones and some of the mystical islands that they were meant to go to were going
Yeah.
to be in the Bermuda Triangle.
That too.
And we were going to play up with that.
yeah, we're gonna play around with that. And here's some poster concepts that I did. Giant crab, love the giant crab. Made some like I'll always vouch for the giant crab because I had some fun gags with the crab. It's like, he's too heavy to kind of swim up, so he would chase them out of the cave where they would get the bones, right? And then they would swim to the pearl, which is far enough where the crab can't reach it. But then, it would be like this very comedy moment where it's like, okay, let's. I mean, the bone's still over there. Like, we need to get it. But the crab is right underneath us, and you have that the really cool 90-degree shot where you can see the ship, and you can see underneath the crab just. What?
Frank, the filled treasure box is the Rorschach Journal at Disney right now. Oh, Frank says he's gotta go.
Okay,
Frank,
thanks
we're
so
gonna
much.
wrap
There
up
isn't
in a
much
minute.
else that we're going to talk about, so I'm glad you stuck with us this whole time. I am very happy you spent the time to listen to it because, like, this has been in our heads for how many years? 11.
8.
Yeah.
That's fine. Check out the end later. I was gonna say we do have another
We do,
film that
we do.
wrote.
And that's it.
too,
That's
that
it.
we
We only had 2. Thank goodness. We didn't waste our lives that much.
No, but we did draft an idea for X-Men 4 that was
Yeah.
going to salvage the mess that was X-Men 3, and then also
This was
try to
before,
make sense of Wolverine Origins.
because this was before Wolverine Origins came out, and then we kind of worked on it a little bit afterwards.
We did, yeah, because I was more interested in X-Men than I was doing more pirates. But yeah, that will be a discussion for another time. But
Absolutely.
probably sometime soon.
Absolutely.
Because that
Yeah.
one was really fun.
Yeah, I really want to get through that one because this one I think I'm more of the pirates guy, you're more the X-Men guy in these cases.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Kristen says she's listening, just battling.
I'm glad.
Ah.
Thank you so much for staying this long. Yeah, so
Yeah, no, seriously.
so there's a little bit. It's too bad that Frank left because I wanted to give you a revelation. I didn't tell this to anybody for the past 10 years, but I will now.
Mm.
And the whole girl isn't real and it's part of a different person wasn't an original idea. I lifted it from something,
That's all right.
and I lifted it from an episode of Batman the Animated Series.
Okay.
I lifted it from the Clayface episode where Robin befriends a girl, and then we find out that it's just
Right.
a part of Clayface. And I didn't want to tell anybody this, and I kind of forgot I did, but that's where I got it, man. Like I remember seeing that episode in 2006, and it was in my mind.
I mean, it's a cool thing, and then let's be fair. Like, it is a trope that does happen fairly often.
Sure.
So no one's gonna penalize you
Yeah.
for using that kind of concept of this person isn't really there.
Anyway, as you can see, I was pointing the wrong direction this whole time. I was pointing the wrong direction the entire time. Anyway, you can see over here. That's my Logan Pirates of the Caribbean.
Jack's-
You know what I mean? That's like. I mean, I would be interested in seeing that, but like we're so past the point of this where it's just like this only would work in a certain time period by a certain angry person called me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's a Bermuda Triangle going on. Yeah. And then there's like the underground of the Bermuda Triangle, and it's like I was thinking maybe this could be like pirate like purgatory or the underworld or something, there's like a
Yes. And what's just to kind of tease, because I have X-Men on my
no
mind.
I'm almost done with these slides. It's close to the
Okay,
end.
hurry up.
This is slide 83 of 87, so we're done. So look, here's Jack Sparrow. Wrong side. This is Jack Sparrow, just entangled in stuff because I thought that would be great poster marketing. I don't know. You'll see it when it shows up.
We'll see it.
Yeah. You see it.
Good stuff.
Thanks. And then this is the denouement of like the last Pirates one where you see an old man Jack Sparrow, but you don't know if it is him
Yeah.
or not. He just disappears in the crowd. I thought that would be a nice thing. Oh yeah, and then I also put Tales of this. Okay, this is already at the end. This is where it's like, oh, we could like when we're making the 5th and 6th, we'll have a TV miniseries of like just called Tales of the Caribbean, and it would be just different stories that would be like 20 minutes long, and it would just be about storytelling because I wanted to put that kind of theme into the last Pirates thing, because I think what is the legacy of pirates other than just stories, things that you would things that you would tell other people and inspire and entertain and just live on that way, because Gibbs always tells stories, and I wanted it to be a reflection of our world, which had Jack Sparrow being kind of like a big icon of the time as well, right? That's kind of what I was going for. And then I found this cup stacking girl. She was really interesting stacking cups, and I thought that would be a funny little Mr. Bean kind of moment in a short story with Jack Sparrow being handcuffed by like guards and doing stuff. And that's it. There we go. Thank you very much.
It would have been cool, but it never
That's it.
happened. Never happened.
We also did
But
we
now-
did music. Remember we did the Spanish guitar before they did it?
Oh yes, we did do that. Yeah, that was the other annoying thing. God damn it!
Yeah.
Yes, you had the Spanish music going on, and then they did that in the fifth one as well. This is what I'm saying. There are too many coincidences, but I'm like, I feel like they read the stuff.
Someone did
And
maybe.
I feel like they took
Maybe Johnny read it and then he just came with ideas. He's like, "What if we did this?" So it's like, come on, dude, just
Yeah.
send me a letter. I wouldn't.
yeah, yeah. But,
I don't know, but at the same time, like it does like I don't know what to say. I don't know.
tracks why someone else might have thought the same things, but I'm like, they put so many things that were very, very similar
I mean, yeah.
to what we were doing, including Barbossa wanting the Queen Anne's revenge.
That's also
and
true,
that,
right? Yeah.
His whole motivation is literally the motivation that we put in for hours. So I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know,
The
mate.
love interest for Jack Sparrow that he can't actually have in the end happens with Penelope Cruz.
Can't actually
I'm
have
like, someone might have stuff.
And
but
I
the
wanted,
funny thing-
and if I wanted, and I wanted to film this movie, and I wanted to be the director, and I wanted to have the smartest cameo ever. Because quite a few people have told me I have some facial similarities with Johnny Depp. So I thought one of the funniest things one of the most cleverest cameos I could do is put on the entire Jack Sparrow thing, all the makeup, because I think even people who don't look that much like him, you just put the mascara on and you put the wig and you put the teeth in, and you can already look very convincing. So I thought, in an action scene in this movie, it'll just be one of those like incidental moments where you just like there's just a turn or something. That's my cameo, and that's it. You should have to guess which one it is, because there's just one little shot of like either turning around or somewhere in the as being Jack Sparrow's stand-in that's still in the movie. That would be my cameo. Very smart.
I like
Yeah.
it.
Thank you.
Now, what I was gonna say, the funny thing is that Pirates of Fire 4 came out, and I hated it, and it pissed me off, and they used our ideas.
Yeah.
When X-Men: Days of Future Past
I was
came
gonna
out,
say
they did a lot of ideas that we had for X-Men 4.
I never showed
But I
that
loved
one.
it.
Yeah, but I never showed that one. I didn't send that to anybody.
For sure, that's that. So that to me, even though for me it was kind of like it made me feel good because that was a great film.
That's what I'm gonna say the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we were thinking up these things years ago, and then other people sort of did the same thing, and it's a massive hit. So it made me feel more confident in my storytelling abilities.
Yeah, I think both of us
It's
kind
like,
of felt
oh,
that.
actually, I was on that train of thought, and this is what they did, and they made a bunch of money. Maybe I'm not too bad at storytelling.
Well, I heard Bryan Singer's a real disaster
Well,
these
he
days.
sounds like a massive piece of shit.
yeah.
Allegedly.
I mean, not just personally. It just seems like he's professionally just incredibly frustrating. Have you heard that?
Allegedly.
Have you heard that? Like
I
he
have.
was doing Apocalypse, and then he's like, I'm not on the set this week, guys. Sorry. And he's actually making another movie on the side. Like, how can you do this? How can you do this? He was doing what's it called, the Queen movie.
Yes. Yeah, I heard that was a disaster. Chrissy says that your cameo sounds way better than the stupid Taika making all the Thor his cameos in Thor.
You gonna watch?
I'm assuming, Chrissy, that you do not like the Thor films.
I think
Or you don't like
at least
you don't like
the four.
cameos. I'm not sure where this is landing.
No,
But,
I knowing Christy as I do, because we're pretty good friends. Yeah, she watched 4 and definitely regretted that decision.
Terribly sorry. Earlier in the conversation, there was a comment about saying like, "Don't get me started on Marvel," and I was like, "Okay, maybe in the future."
In the
we can have a
future.
Marvel rank.
Yeah, the future.
That would be fun because I have a lot to say about Marvel.
Yeah. So as we wind down, if
Yes.
any of our 4 concurrent viewers at the moment have any questions for like about the next 10-15 minutes, that's not a big deal, right? What do you think? It's okay.
That's fun.
or whatever, because I'm surprised it's only been an hour 59.
I'm not.
I can't. This is the most what's it called? Concise I've ever been in a conversation recorded.
About this stuff.
What the hell happened?
It's because
What the hell happened? I'm actually good at speaking this time. What?
and also you probably don't have as many people interrupting.
You're a very funny man.
Oh, so Christy,
I don't know who else is watching, but oh wait, here we go. Did you ever get anything from what you sent out of the film idea?
No, but I'll tell you that before Pirates, there was The Hobbit.
Oh, you were man. That was another one.
That was bad. That was really bad for me. But listen, every time this happened, I kept learning my lesson, and I wanted to make an Obi-Wan movie, but I don't care. You know, like. I don't care anymore. I really don't. I've learned not to rely on anything that anyone is doing except doing things for myself and being able to make the movies that I can make by myself, you know. That's how I am now.
What did you get from The Hobbit?
From The Hobbit. Okay, so I sent my portfolio, which is right here actually. Not all of it, just the Hobbit ones. So
The Hobbit.
look at my awesome pants, by the way.
Great shorts.
It's piratey.
It's piratey.
So I have this portfolio that let me take away this background so I can actually show you properly. All right, so so I have this. This is my portfolio. It's very it's not very humble. I made it when I was 19, 18, okay? But I was always told you have to be like really like, you know, bold and you know, you have to stick up for yourself. So fine, whatever. And among like drawings and stuff, there was all this Hobbit stuff. So there's like all this Hobbit. Let me make Hobbit movie. Look. I know. Trust me. I care about this stuff. You know. I have ideas. Here's. Look. See. There's Orcrist. It's like Sting. No, not Sting. It's like Glamdring because they're like sibling swords, so they can interlock. You know what I mean? So one of them has the hilt going, not the hilt, the crossguard going down, and the other one going up. So they can kind of. Yeah. They can. You know. They kind of. There's a size chart that's irrelevant, and then there's like, oh look, it's Thorin. See, he's an old dwarf. Of course he is, and etc. etc. So I sent that, and I sent it to Ken Kamins. Ken Kamins is the manager for Peter Jackson, and now and then eventually he co-produced the Hobbit films. So now he's more of a producing guy. And so I got an email from Ken Kamins, and I should really print it out, but what he wrote, and his icon on the email was Tintin, because that's what they were working on.
All right.
And I don't remember exactly what he said, but he just said, like, we had a look at your stuff, and it's really well done, and you're hardworking, and you're very talented, but we just can't accept this because it's unsolicited. But also he said we would want, and Peter Jackson already has a director in mind for The Hobbit, and he also said but nevertheless I would encourage you to continue doing this, but doing it with like movies that you can make, that you own, like that are yours. And of course I was like, oh yeah, well that explains Peter Jackson and Tolkien, right? Yeah, that's his story, isn't it? Peter Jackson's story. You know, but anyway, that's not the point. The point was he was being very encouraging and nice, and I still have that email, and I should probably print it out somewhere. It was nice. At least he got to see it and replied. You know, it's better than anybody else that I sent all that stuff to.
True, and a nice response.
Yeah, it was a very lovely response.
Old 18-year-old film.
Yeah, 18, 17, 18, 19.
Yeah.
No, it was 18. Yeah.
I mean, the likelihood of New Line Cinema.
No, don't let's not even think about it. And even look, that is such an impossibility. No one's like all those people. There would be like, the hell, you know.
Oh, it's funny.
But all those, but even like think about this. Even if you landed that job in an alternate crazy world, the politics involved in this Hobbit specifically would have been the worst thing in the world as well. It would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Even if I made it, I would probably drop out anyway, because I'd be like, I can't. I'm stressing out of my mind as an 18-year-old. You know. Yeah.
It would have been madness.
Madness.
I
I love being able to actually just puke all this out because, man, I kept this stuff secret so long. I'm coming out.
I've been begging you for years. Like, dude, let's
Yeah.
just do it. Let's just do a video. Let's do a thing. Let's do a thing. Let's just chat about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, but not yet. Okay, but not yet.
Not yet. For me, the grief is still too
You
near.
did have an idea where you wanted to do like a documentary.
Yeah, style.
thing.
And I'm like, no, I'm too lazy to do this.
Yeah, I was like, come on, man. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. So it's good to finally get some. Now we have it here.
Yeah, it's very
archived
nice.
for 2 hours worth of.
2
us
hours,
talking.
dude. That is concise. I couldn't believe it. I thought we were gonna be here for 3.5. So.
No. Nah. And the fact that we've maintained an average of four.
Yeah,
4 to 5
I think that is a success if I ever saw one. You know what I mean?
See, I mean, I knew it was gonna be like massive, but like, it's so much better than using Instagram Live.
Dude, imagine Instagram Live.
What'd I tell you?
Yeah.
What'd I tell you?
I'll just
but we
I'll
should
just play
say-
some wonderful Pirates of the Caribbean music and see if I get flagged. No, I'm kidding.
that.
No, I'm gonna.
I am going to say that we'll do some alternating things where we're going to talk about our movies that we've made or stories we've co-wrote on your channel, but we're going to do some other stuff on mine.
Yeah.
So make sure you follow my channel as well.
Yeah, follow Luke's
Which-
channel, Luke Deckard. Yeah.
Yeah, follow my channel, which is called The Luke Deckard Show. For now.
For now.
But yeah, follow that or follow me on on Twitter, which
Frank-
is Luke Writes Crime.
Frank is gonna be on there, right? He's gonna be on there.
Frank will be on. We will bring Frank on from time to time, and yeah, that will probably be where we talk about like Marvel and like things like that.
And then Frank's just gonna keep going like, bring the girl back, guys. Bring her back.
Just thinking about the girl. You should have brought her back. And also,
I
this
got
is
to
just
visit
like
a
this other
high-end motion
movie.
picture film processing facility that develops, scans, and processes the
Cool.
film negatives
Yeah.
for your
This
favorite
was-
Hollywood blockbuster movies.
Thanks for
You
listening.
can say this is the mecca of film cinematography.
Suppose
Let's get it.
we can wrap up now.
Yep.
I have a busy day of PhD work tomorrow. Yay.
That sounds rough. Sounds rough, buddy.
Yeah,
But it was
just need to-
It was a good time talking about this. It was a,
What?
I think we've understood each other ecumenically, grammatically. I don't know what he says.
Wow.
That was
Oh,
poor.
wow.
That was poor.
And oh yeah, and if you are looking for more pirates, I have been writing. I wrote many
Oh,
many
that's
episodes
right,
on
yeah.
pirates on the podcast Real Pirates, which is on Spotify. I wrote the Blackbeard episodes, which were cool. The Black Bart episodes. The Black Sam Bellamy episodes.
What's a Black
Basically,
Sam
if a
Bellamy?
pirate had black in their name, I wrote them all.
Really? Is that just
I
how
wrote
it
all the
works?
ones that had black in their name. Blackbeard, Black Sam Bellamy, and Black Bart. I don't know why that fell to me, but yeah, I did those.
Really? Man.
Yes.
So, but you go into a lot of research for that, right?
This is more historical, accurate, myth busting sort of docudrama stuff. So it's not fiction; it's docudrama.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, cool.
Okay, cool. Excellent. I just want to put a little bit of music. This man on this accordion plays a wonderful Pirates of the Caribbean, and it's just a sweet swan song that I like to hear. I don't think you'll be able to hear it because it's just going through mine, but
No, I can't hear it at all.
yeah. So if anyone else has just one or two more questions, and we're gonna get out of here. I guess not, because we only have. Well, I don't know. I guess we have four viewers.
Yes. No, I think we've reached the end. I think we've
Parting
reached
is
the
such
end.
sweet sorrow. Alas, my children.
Why does he always do that?
Alas, my children. This is the day. This is the day that you always remember that you've almost caught Captain Jack Sparrow.
He's gone. He's done, man. He's over. It's over.
He's sailed his last.
Sailed his last.
Shall he be forgotten?
Or shall he be remembered as a pirate of the Caribbean?
There we go. Okay. Bye, everyone. Bill, you have to end the call.
I'm listening. I'm jamming out. This music rules.
It rules.
Okay.
No one wants to see you jam. Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye. Oh, bye-bye. Oh, bye. Bye.